Hey, and welcome back to the DeadThree Coaching Show. Excited to bring you a new episode here. We don't have any quotes or books or a script for you today, so we're just really talking off some things that have been going through my mind as I kind of observe things going on in my world and the people I'm talking with and the conversations that I'm lucky enough to be in. And so we might be all over the place today, but there's definitely a theme to all this that I want to be able to get across to myself by just speaking this out there and putting it out there, but also for you as you are looking to level up your teams, your leadership, the direction that you are headed personally. I have so much going on with the content that I'm consuming and the things that I am now considering that I never considered even a month ago in my own personal journey and in my leadership journey and in my professional life and the teams that I'm working with and the things that I'm trying to build, this DeadThree community and my DeadThree coaching platform that we're building. So there's so much to uncover and unpack. But I had this conversation. Here's the focus and direction of this podcast. Everybody knows that if you've listened to this podcast at length, I'm a junkie when it comes to basketball. I'm definitely a junkie when it comes to just observing leadership and how elite people think and how they work and how they motivate and inspire and how they execute and how they build teams. So we have a new basketball coach at our high school that my kids go to, my daughter and my two boys. My two boys play for this new coach. And I am going to get to a point here, so just stay with me on this story for just a moment. So we have a new coach, young coach, 30, 31 years old, really impressed with him, X's and O's, communication, standards, accountability, understanding of the game, all that sort of stuff. Like he checks all the boxes, this young kid. He's not a kid anymore, but this young coach, really impressed with him. And he has been successful where he has been, meaning he's won at a very high level. So he really checks kind of all the boxes. And we were in Kansas City. I help him out still. I'm on staff, an assistant coach, for the program. And we were in Kansas City last weekend. And I understand now his vision, which is really important. Where does he think this can go? What is important to him? What are the standards that he has? How is he holding people accountable? How does he communicate? How does he communicate when things don't go well? How does he communicate, celebrate, acknowledge, and value when things go well? Like all the stuff that we've talked about on this podcast. But I mentioned to him, and I may not have worded it well when I mentioned this to him, and we were just talking in between games. I said, you're in a really good spot, and I'm observing, this isn't verbatim, but I'm observing you and your message, and I am observing how the kids are receiving it, the players, our team. Now, he has high standards. He is very good at teaching. He understands X's and O's. He knows what he wants in terms of strategy. He understands what he wants in terms of effort and progress. He understands what he wants in terms of communication and team delivery and team, and how teams receive the message. But what I mentioned to him about all that was, I was like, I know these kids. I know that you are connecting with them. I know that they will receive the message that you are putting out there. These kids, 12 of them on the team, the message that you are putting out in front of them, they are all in. I know these kids. I know these families. I know their heart. I've been with these kids since they've been 6 or 7 years old. Now they're 16, 17 years old. I know all this. So everything you are saying, I know they're receiving, and I know they're trying. Here's the message to the podcast today. You can be all in. You can have an organization that's all in. You can have people and team members and leadership and executives that are all in, that when you speak and you say the standards, the accountability, the tactics, the process, they're all in. They shake their head, yes, I get it, and I understand, and I will do it. But at the end of the day, you still need those people to execute and to continue to change the habits that they have. And so that's exactly what I mentioned to him, was they're all in. They have bought in. They believe in what you're saying. They can do it. We still have to change the habits. We are still building young men. They still are going to fall short in many regards in the standards that we have, that you have, that you're implementing. And I position that now to the business and leadership world. You think about, I'm in the world of Agile transformation, software industry, and people want to go in and change things. And people are willing. We say there's 3 types of people: can, can't, or won't. And there are people that can't, physically unable to. Asking, one of our players to, run sprints in a certain time frame when he just can't. So you can't hold that against them. If they can't do something, find the role for them, find what they can do, enhance that, build them up in that role, find value, obviously, in the role. And that's the same thing in the professional world. You're going to have people that just can't do things. I can't write a business plan or a project plan, even though, I'm in the project world like that. I'm not a writer. It's not what I do. It's not what I'm skilled at. There's other things, hopefully, I'm skilled at, but that is not it. It's not that I won't. I will try if given that objective to do, but it's not my world. And it's obviously, can't is a strong word, but there are some things that we just can't do. Then there are the people that just won't do it. They can do it, but they won't do it. And that's a whole different bucket for us to get into, that if you have people on your team that won't, then you need to remove them. I'm consuming a lot of content in the past 2 weeks, and I mentioned it on my last podcast on Monday. A lot of contact. I've struck up some conversations with this gentleman, and his name is Dan Martell, and he has been as impactful as any podcaster, YouTube guy, content creator, as anybody I've listened to. Really bought into his message, his story, and connecting with that. But he talks about removing people from his organization because they weren't aligned. But at the end of the day, it was a won't. They won't do what the mission, the vision, the direction that we are going. So they won't. They're going to do it their way. But this is the way that the head coach, the CEO, the founder wants to do things. And you've been given that directive. And then there's can, can't, or won't. Now, if they can't, Dan Martell says, then it's on me. Training, lifting up, finding the right role, encouraging. That's on me. If they can't. And they want to expand their role, they bought into everything else, but they can't. But then if there's won'ts, then you need to figure out how to get them out of the current environment. Whether that's not playing them, not giving them responsibility, putting them on a plan, a performance plan, which people do professionally, all that sort of stuff. Because the ship is going this direction. And Dan Martell in some of his content talks about how he ended up as the founder and the CEO and the person that leads this entire operation, that he hated going to work, hated being in meetings, hated Sunday nights. And he said, and it was because of this one person that won't. He didn't say it that way, but that's how I took it. So, but then there's the last bucket of can and willing. And it all circles back to the conversation with this new coach. Our team, our organization, these players that we have, they can and are willing. And are willing. That doesn't mean that where they're at now, they can't improve and will understand more. There are still habits, routines, rituals that these young athletes have that we still have to form. They're young athletes, even if they're 40-year-olds. So you go into an organization and you're in an IT shop where you're doing an Agile transformation, which if you don't know what that is, it's a way of delivering software, which might be completely different than what the organization is used to. Completely different. And it is hard. And people are willing to make that transformation. But you still have to sell them on the vision. You still have to direct them to the outcomes. You still need to give them sense of ownership. You still need to acknowledge and celebrate the wins that you have as you progress down that, because they could sit there and we have a brand new coach and we're playing in Kansas City and everybody is now playing at some high-end elite level because of one conversation, of one practice, of one team meeting in a team room. No, it takes time. It takes habits. It takes accountability. Even though they can and are willing, that doesn't mean that it happens all the time. That's why you need a coach. That's why we do what we're doing here at DeadThree in our coaching and consulting business. We are that coach. We are that group that comes in and holds people accountable. We are the group that celebrates, and we are the group that refines process. We are the group that helps you define winning so you can crush it and so we can all get better. And as we had that conversation, it's every week. And as you navigate your business, understand that you could get complete buy-in and a bunch of people that can, and maybe some that can't but are willing, even the can'ts, you keep around if they're willing. And you can find a role and they can fulfill the role and they can enhance the role and and they're the type and they're the fit that you are looking for. Then you need to do all that. And so as you build your organization, as you build your team, as we build our basketball team, it is always painting the vision, the compelling vision. We've talked about this in so many podcasts, what this is going to look like. Continue to acknowledge and celebrate whenever you reach for it. Ed Mylett talks about reaching your goals, touching your dreams. He talks about how when he was younger, it's a little off point, but you'll understand in a second. Ed Mylett used to talk about that when he was broke, nothing. He would figure out how twice a year, once every 6 months, that he would go have a drink, dress up, take his wife out to the Ritz-Carlton in California, wherever they live. And he would sit at the bar and have drinks. Or maybe he would stay the night and he would have somebody valet his car and he would walk in with his wife and they would walk into the Ritz-Carlton because he wanted to touch his dream. He wanted to touch where he was going to be. And he wanted to feel it, even for a night. So every 6 months they did that when they had nothing. So one, touch your dream. Figure out how every quarter, even if you can't afford it, whatever you may want, go test drive a Lamborghini once a year, if that's what you want. You go to the Ritz-Carlton once a year and sit there and have drinks, get a room for the night, touch your dream. But the point I'm making is when the kids touch the dream, when your team touched the dream, acknowledge it and celebrate it and let them know how that feels. When Ed Mylett goes and stays at the Ritz-Carlton, he is staying at the Ritz-Carlton because of how it makes him feel. That he is progressing, that he is getting better, that he is closer to his dreams, that he is continuing to work, and that he is going to be there one day. So when your team touches, reaches, is approaching their dreams and the dreams that you've laid out, you acknowledge it, you celebrate it, because you want them to feel it, just like Ed Mylett did. You want them to feel how close they are. Ed Mylett continues to talk about we are a lot closer than we think we are to those things. But because we think they're so far away, we stop. We are closer than we think, but our mind is telling us it is further away. So we stop, so we quit, so we tell ourselves we can't do it, so we fill our head with limiting beliefs. So we sabotage ourselves, which is a huge thing right now. Continuing to just sabotage our greatness, to just keep us where we are. But all this circles back to the understanding that you are trying to change yourself. You are trying to change an organization towards greatness, the next level of greatness. We have talked with that phrase since day one of this podcast 5 or 6 years ago. The pursuit of greatness. The phrase we're using now is the burden of greatness. The burden of greatness. And I have said that a lot recently to a number of people. There is a burden that comes with being great and reaching towards great and performing at a great level. And that's another podcast that we'll get into. But as you go to make these changes personally and with your teams, and understand, even yourself, I'm all in on all this. I'm all in on the direction I'm heading, building DeadThree up, getting clients, being engaged with people, working with clients one-on-one and with teams, and doing everything that I've been dreaming about and talking about for a while. Like, I'm all in. But what about the habits that I have? Still got to break some of these. Still got to be able to put this content out, put stuff on Instagram that you've all seen recently, be able to put stuff on LinkedIn, be able to make phone calls, be able to ask for sale, be able to sit there and say that this is what we're doing. When can I come out? How can I support you? How can I help you? To reach out so I can be all in. But I've also got to break my own habits and my own routines and my own limiting beliefs and my own sabotage. So you're doing the same when you're building your team. They can be all in. They can be on board, want the accountability, but then you're going to say, maybe you'll even see it and say to them, are you really all in? Because you say you're all in, you look like you're all in, but you continue to do this. Well, that's how I've always done it. Well, that's not how we're doing it now, and I need you to understand that. And here's the why. This new coach does a great job of explaining to young athletes why this is important, how you can do it, and you can do it. Here's the thing that we said that, and I won't get this exactly right because it's slipping my head right now, but you have to understand that there's 2 or 3 things that you want to be able to convey to your teams professionally. Like, this is what you need to, 2 things you need to say. The third one is slipping my mind right now. One is, hey, we got high standards. We have crazy high standards. We are reaching for greatness and what that looks like. And we're going to carve it out, and we're going to identify it, and we're going to stretch our goals, and we're going to use AI to expand our goals, and we're going to become 10 times what we thought, and we're going to do all this content that we've been consuming. We're going to do it that, 10x is easier than 2x and all this other stuff that we've talked about for years. We're going to do it. So we've got high standards. And selling that. The second thing is you belong here. And the standards that we play at, you are capable of that. So we're doing that with young athletes. Hey, our standards are high. And this is what we're doing. This is why it's important. And this is how you fit in. But the reality is you belong here. You're a part of it. You're important to it. And the standards we play at, you can deliver on. You can do it. And it's possible. So never think you can't. And that is important. So even though you're building this culture and environment and these processes and strategies, and even though now it's a different environment, it's a different podcast, it is a different conversation when you roll into change and nobody's bought in. And then you got to start firing people and cutting people and finding different roles for people and putting people on a plan and the frustration that goes with that. It's a whole nother podcast series and course creation that we could come up with. All I'm speaking to is when you roll into that environment and everybody's ready for it and everybody's on board and everybody believes it. Just because all that is being said, just because all of that is happening, doesn't mean you don't coach. It doesn't mean you don't hold them accountable. It doesn't mean that you continue to set high standards. And it doesn't mean that that you don't think it's going to not happen. It's going to happen. But it is very much the mindset of, yeah, everybody's bought in, but we still got to coach them to the standard. We still can't let anything slip. As Dan Martell was saying, when you start letting even the small things slip, when you let people talk to you a certain way, and this is what Dan Martell was saying, when you let people talk to you a certain way at work, and you're the CEO, you're the founder or what that, then you are allowing it to become your culture. You are tolerating that, and it becomes part of your culture. No, that's not how we do things. That's not how we talk to one another. It's definitely not how you talk to me, but it's not how we problem solve. It's not how the effort that we give to be great. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is why it's important, and here's how you contribute to it. And we don't waver. And we never fall short. And it is the culture that we are building. There's so much to get into with this, but the purpose of this was, it was on my mind. Man, we're doing great things. Man, we have great kids. Man, they're bought in. Man, they're all in. Man, they're skilled and talented. Man, are we lucky with these kids. But you still got to break habits and routines and effort. And you still got to coach them. And it is the same thing we do professionally with our teams. The same thing. Yes, you're lucky if everybody's bought in. You're lucky if you're building the culture and everybody, but you still need to coach. You still need to lead. You still need to hold people accountable. You still need to raise the standard. You still need to make sure you understand what you're going to tolerate and not tolerate, because that is your culture. And you need to continue to strive for greatness with your teams. And the last point to circle back to is, when they reach for it, when they touch it, when they're close to it, let them feel it. Acknowledge it, celebrate it, recognize it, clap for it, high five for it. They need to feel it, that they are reaching it. And that is on you as the leader. That is you as the CEO, the founder, the coach, that they touch their greatness that they are putting forth with your organization. DeadThree is out. Go to our website. We are super excited. We are doing one-on-one coaching now, team coaching now, public, the speaking of organizations. We've been talking with sales team, construction teams, the fitness companies, the whole spectrum on things just like this. And the last thing I'll leave you with, because it is top of mind, is it's another podcast, but I'm just going to leave you with this. You don't need motivation. The motivation at 4 a.m. when the alarm clock goes off to go work out, to go get out of bed, to go do whatever you need to be doing for your morning routine. What you need is discipline. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to me. You don't need motivation. You don't need the motivation. You don't need to run to YouTube to listen to a talk. You need discipline. I need discipline to continue to execute. And so that's what we're trying to do here with DeadThree. We're going to help you build the disciplines. We're going to hold you accountable to the disciplines. We're going to help you build your teams, your process, your individuals, your groups, your leadership, your coaching. And we're here to support all of that. So whatever we can do to help you. Please reach out to us. Please hit our website. Hit our website. You'll know exactly how to connect with me and the work that we're doing here. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.